I've been involved with TAROE ever since TAROE started in 1997. So I've been a board member, but I've been the chair of the organisation for the last 7 years. But I've been involved in tenant empowerment since around about 1980. How did ASERT start? There has been a long and business-like arrangement between Mears and TAROE. We worked on projects in the past, and I think there's a commitment by TAROE to actually involve tenants in the service that they get. That's our whole mantra. That's what tenant empowerment's about. That's what big society's about, localism's about. It's involving people in the services they get. And we've been banging on that drum for a long time. And I think we were very, very fortunate that we were able to talk to someone like David in Mears, who also believes that tenants should be part of Mears as an organisation. They work a lot in tenants' houses. And I think his dream and aspiration is that his staff should be tenants as well, and they would understand thoroughly the services that they deliver. And if you deliver services to people who are like yourself, who are paying for those services are going to be better.
It was really easy by when we went to look for a partner to create such an enterprise as ASERT. There was only one real choice really, and that was TAROE, and for two reasons. One, sheer size of the organisation, over 5 million members, all the members being customers not only of Mears but customers of social housing clients, so that was hugely important to us. And the second, I think, culture. There was an absolute culture match. So when I first met Michael, the first and most important thing I think Michael raised as the issue was culture, and I was happy that he raised that, because by default it was something that was hugely important to us as well.
So I think it developed from a conversation around that a catalyst then came about, that we could formulate an organisation that could employ tenants to inspect services the tenants receive and inform the contractor then where there may be room for improvement. And I think the wonderful thing about this idea is that landlords don't have to pay any more for that contract, because the contract is gone to tender. It's a contract that's let. Mears wins the contract. Mears then starts delivering the services. We have then tenants who are employed, who will look at those services delivery, go back to the contract and say, this needs doing, that needs doing, I think you're missing a bit there, and they'll change it at source. And the landlord stands back and says, I'm getting a much better service. I'm not involved in any further financially in this, but we're getting a better service, and our tenants are really chuffed. So they're getting value added in satisfaction.
It was a joint venture with TAROE and Mears to take on board tenants to actually audit their the performance of a number of their branches. So it'll be tenant talking to tenant and looking into the work that's been done by Mears operatives in different homes. With ASERT, I believe I have the freedom to, if I find that there is a particular operative who has a problem and the tenant has a problem with them, then I can focus in on that operative and find out what is happening, whether it was a one-off, whether it was something that it was a personality problem with him, and then obviously report this back to the contractor, who would then sort of put in training for that particular operative.
Hopefully just to open up communications between both sides. The fact that the customer, resident, tenant, will be able to say what they want and feel as though that there is a human voice there listening to them. The other side is that you can tell, whichever organisation it is, that what's been done, what is being said on the street level. So it's a more direct route for them.
One of the things that TAROE has always wanted to do is to make sure that we were in a position to employ tenants to do work for tenants, and this actually fulfills that aim, a long time dream, and it's coming true.
I think customer service be improved, I think just on the basis that it'd be something done with the customers rather than for the customers. So at the moment very much, we ring a customer up to ascertain what their thoughts are of the service. Or, by way of using ASERT, it will be customers actually living in the homes that we're serving would be doing the customer inspections. So hopefully, instead of being quite bland, a satisfied, unsatisfied answer, hopefully customers will talk as part of a community and say, what do you think of the contractor? So I'm hoping our customer service stats will be a lot more in depth than what we currently receive.
I think there's a number of things what we're trying to achieve from it. We as an organisation are trying to achieve being in a partnership where it gives ordinary tenants an opportunity to get full-time employment or employment of their choice, because some of these jobs won't be full-time, they'll be part-time, but it will fit in with people's needs as well. So that's a good thing from our point of view. We will also be aligned with a successful organisation. And that's important too, that we're actually supporting something that's doing something of value for tenants.
Mears' current role, certainly initial role, because obviously I think it was very easy to create a whole raft of things that both organisations were going to do. But in the first instance, very much to personally support the arrangement, not necessarily through finance, but through training, through placements at colleges, and more importantly by way of work, the work placement. So it was deemed that Mears have got the contracts and the work, and TAROE have got the customer and the tenant. So it's trying to say what have we both got and bring those together. So for us, first instance arrangement was obviously us providing work placements for TAROE and its tenants a la ASERT.
And I think what Mears will get from it is a successful partnership organisation will bring added value to what they do and how they deliver their contracts. And they should be able to promote that, and so should we, to tenants in the wider population, say, well, here's an opportunity to get a contractor working for you who is not frightened of being scrutinised by tenants on the services that it delivers.
I think the whole sector's really struggled with customer satisfaction, and we've tried a whole raft of things over the last 16 years. At times it was always the operative. Before he left the job, he needed to get the satisfaction survey signed. That was a whole raft of issues. They said, how independent would the tenant be if they've got a big operative standing over them saying you've got to sign this, and tenants actually feel sort of quite obliged to sign something when in fact they weren't particularly happy, but they thought, how do I get it? So we've had that as an issue. We've had postal issues, whereby we'll fill out a postal satisfaction survey and that gets sent in, and there's a probity issue there. Was actually the tenant that filled the form out, or was the operative doing it in his van and putting it in the post? Then we had telephone surveys, and that becomes quite difficult. You're not guaranteed to actually contact the tenant, certainly by way of a lot of people moving to mobile phones and changing numbers and all those sort of issues. So we've battled against all of that for 16 years, come up with what we see as the ultimate way of contacting tenants. And I think ASERT's going to deliver that. So the idea of tenants living within the community, having the ability to talk to their neighbour around the service, I think there'd be nothing more independent than that. But equally, we're able to visit tenants at their choice of time rather than 1 minute after the work's been completed. Mears operate from 83 locations in the UK. I'd love to see ASERT work in every one of those locations. Wherever we've got a branch, ASERT equally have got an operation, and we move away from traditional contracting whereby we do a bit of the work and someone else does. ASERT actually become our long-term partner.